Welcome back to the Grace Filled Mom podcast. Today, we're closing our Biblical Women series with the story of Esther. This is one of my favorites. A woman who found herself in a position she didn't choose, yet one God used powerfully. And I think that's important to pause on for a moment because so much of motherhood feels exactly like that. We don't always choose the timing. We don't always choose the circumstances. We don't always feel prepared for the responsibility we're carrying. And yet, here we are. Esther's story reminds us that courage doesn't always look loud or bold or fearless. Sometimes courage looks quiet. Sometimes it looks like obedience when fear is present. And sometimes it looks like taking the next right step, even when the outcome is uncertain. Let's set the scene a little bit for you. So, Esther didn't seek influence. She didn't chase a platform. She didn't ask for responsibility or visibility. She was placed into a role she never planned for, one that came with real risk. And when that moment came, that required action. Esther had a choice to make. She could remain silent and protect herself, or she could step forward and risk everything. And that moment, that pause before action matters because courage often shows up after fear, not instead of it. As moms, we face similar moments all the time. Conversations we don't want to have, decisions that feel heavy, moments when staying quiet would be easier, so much easier. Esther's story reminds us that God often positions us before we feel ready and then invites us to trust Him with the rest. Courage doesn't mean the absence of fear, it means obedience despite it. Esther didn't rush into action, she didn't rely on impulse or emotion. She took it very slowly. She prayed about things. She paused. She sought wisdom. She waited for the right moment. And then she acted. That's important because courage in motherhood is rarely dramatic. More often, it looks deliberate. It looks like choosing faith over comfort, trusting God with outcomes you can't control, stepping forward even when you feel unqualified. Esther didn't know how the story would end. She simply trusted God enough to obey. And that kind of courage still matters today. If you don't know the story of Esther, I would encourage you to go read it. It's a fascinating story. And it makes me admire her so much to know what risk that she took. And she was willing to do that. She was willing to step out in faith, to go up to a king. And it could have meant her death, but she chose to do that for her people. And it took a lot of guts, a lot of guts to do that. So, how does this story that took place in the Bible so many years ago, how does that apply to motherhood for us today? So glad you asked. God places us in our families intentionally, not because we're perfect, not because we have it all together, but because we're willing. You don't need a big platform to make an impact. You don't need confidence to be courageous. You don't need certainty to be faithful. Motherhood is filled with moments that require courage, standing firm in your values, advocating for your child, making hard choices that won't be popular, trusting God when the path feels unclear. Esther reminds us that influence isn't always visible. Some of the most powerful acts of faith happen quietly, behind the scenes, and God honors that faithfulness. Your obedience today may be shaping a story that you won't fully see until later, but it matters deeply. I want to give you some encouragement today. If you feel unqualified today, if you feel unsure, if you feel like you don't have what it takes, I want you to just take heart, because God doesn't call the equipped, He equips the called. You are not in this season by accident. You are not overlooked, and you are not alone. God is present with you in every moment of obedience, even the ones that feel small, unseen, and yes, uncomfortable. As we close today, and as we close this biblical women's series, here's a question to sit with this week. What might God be asking you to step into with courage in this season? Not fearlessly, not perfectly, just faithfully. You don't have to know how the story ends. You simply have to trust God with your next step. Thank you for joining me in this series. I've really enjoyed getting to look back at the Bible, at women of faith, and see how we can apply that to our own lives as moms. It has been such an honor to walk through these stories with you, and I look forward to seeing you next time as we continue to learn and to grow together as moms.